The top stories tonight. Tinubu to implement Oronsaye report to scrap merge agencies. TUC backs out of strike as NLC insists on nationwide industrial action. Court to rule on Nnamdi Kanu's bail application on March 19. Somaliland president accuses Somalia of murdering aviation expert. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage tonight begins in the nation's capital, Abuja, where the Nigerian government has allayed fears of workers over the recently adopted Oronsaye report, which mandates the merging of several key agencies and the scrapping of some others. Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, says workers in the agencies affected will not have their jobs terminated despite government's promise of aiming to reduce costs as recommended by the report. My colleague Amadine Uyi tells us more.
From the Federal Executive Council meeting was the adoption of the Oronsaye report by the Council, which recommended the merging of several agencies and the scrapping of some others. Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, however, allayed the fears of many staff in the affected agencies, saying their jobs remain intact.
The Oronsaye report has been approved and adopted by Council today. Does not mean that people will lose their jobs. All those who are employed, whether they have been moved, subsumed, or scrapped, will find accommodation within relevant government agencies.
Other ministers from the digital economy, education, finance, and works took time to give their updates.
There has been a review of the existing mechanisms, a review of the existing programs, and where there have been successes, such as in the 400,000 beneficiaries of the GEEP program, and so on and so forth. Those have been identified and recognized. School feeding program.
The other thing I would like to chip in here also is the unemployment benefit that the president is mandated that we look into. And one of the areas where this touches on the digital economy is the program that we've launched to train 3 million technical talents. On Thursday, we're going to be scaling that program to 10%, which would mean we're going to announce a new set of people, up to 270,000 people that will benefit from this program.
The Council thought it's important for the universities to be reminded of their obligations under the various laws, the various acts setting up the universities, and then some financial regulations post-IPPS. And these all pertain to ensuring that university, tertiary institutions employ staff only when there is a budgetary provision for it.
Today, we had the approval of FAKE for the construction of 700 kilometers of coastal route running from Lagos through the 9 coastal routes or states up to Cross River.
The Federal Executive Council meeting is the second for the year. The report from cabinet ministers revealed that there is progress by government along several fronts. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Joining me on the news to discuss this is the Executive Director of the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, Debo Adeniro. Thank you very much, Debo, for giving us your time. Let's begin by the allaying of fears about job losses. I mean, the idea is to streamline governance, reduce the humongous burden that it seemed to carry. Do you hold much faith that workers will not be impacted by these downsizing, if I were to use that word?
Thank you very much. I don't agree with the council that there shouldn't be job losses. All the political appointees that are heading those agencies that will be merged should be shown the way out. There should be staff audits, and all those that have had several queries in their files and who have been found guilty of one misdeeds or the other should be allowed to go. We don't need inefficiency in the MDAs. We should look at how some of these people got to the civil service. And if they have cut corners anywhere during the period of getting them into the civil service, those who have falsified their ages, those who have falsified their qualifications should be sought out and be weeded out of the civil service, because those are the people that are making things difficult for government to do. Besides that, government should look at the areas of overlapped functions and remove everybody that is unnecessary there and reduce the cost of running those MDAs. Okay, it doesn't matter how many we have. If we are paying them so much, Nigeria will still be losing so much money into idle hands. And this is where the Auditor General and Accountant General of the Federation comes in. Anybody involved in any procurement of offenses should not be allowed to remain in the National Civil Service. This is the way to cut costs. We agree that yes, we have so much MDAs that we can cope with. But there are some of them that are very necessary to be separate. One of them is the EFCC. EFCC should remain separate from the ICPC. ICPC has its areas of concentration, and EFCC is for financial and economic crimes. ICPC should face corruption in civil servants and other agencies.
All right, I know you're making suggestions already, but because of the time frame of this conversation, I'd just like to find out from you, yes, there's been a lot of clamor about reducing the cost of governance. They say a team has been put in place and it will take them 12 weeks to report back. So the question I'd like to put to you is, the time frame, do you envisage, you've just highlighted the separation of ICPC and the EFCC. There are other agencies that require attention. 12 weeks, is that enough time for them to implement whatever the reports, the entirety of the report, or to commence it? And then secondly, I'd like to get your thoughts on the timing of the implementation of this report. No time like the present, they say. Do you agree it's a good time as well?
This is a good time to implement it. And the time frame given to the committee is adequate. Oronsaye report has gone through several committees, and white papers have actually been written. So Oronsaye has done so much work just for the new committee to look at what amendments are required, and they should take memoranda from stakeholders to inform them of the desire of those who know to have a clean copy of the white paper. As soon as that is done, I believe that 12 weeks is even too much for them to do the work, because they will only look at what the work that has been done, the MDAs that have been suggested for merger, and the ones that will be retained the way they are, and the ones that will be included in the merger. So there's nothing much for the committee to do, so that they will not waste more funds on sitting allowance.
That sitting allowance is a lot of problem. It's a problem for a lot of persons.
I believe that is adequate.
All right, let's go back to the question about workers being impacted by this announcement. As much as the minister has assured that there will be no job losses, you don't share that optimism. You also believe that some people should be out of the service. However, knowing the Nigeria that we are in, what level, it's not a question whether there will be a pushback from those that will be affected, but what level of pushback do you expect to see?
Of course, there will be pushback if the government does not have good reasons for getting them out of the service. But the reasons will be stated based on the records, the track record of each of the staffers that will be affected.
Whatever the reason, sorry to interrupt, but whatever the reasons may be, we have a situation, economic situation on our hands. That's why I asked you about the timing of the implementation of this report. If there are going to be job losses, you would expect that they would fight tooth and nail to stay put.
No, because there will be some pay-off allowances, emolument. They have their pensions, they have their gratuity. And this is what we will advocate that should be paid as soon as they are weeded out of the service. They should not be denied of their benefits, of the benefit that is accrued to them. That is what they need to set up themselves, to sustain themselves, pending the time they will be productively engaged. So there shouldn't be any, if that is the pushback we are talking about, there shouldn't be any pushback. They also know that there is contributory pension. And if that is available to them, they have no reasons to fight back. Okay? And there are so many other opportunities in the private sector. The present situation even provides other opportunities for those who want to exploit them, except the lazy one, the laid-back ones who may not want to engage in economic activities that could be that could take care of their social and family needs. So there won't be any. I don't envisage that there will be any serious problem for those to be weeded out of the civil service. It will be a good thing for Nigeria.
I know for a fact that this conversation, we've just only touched the tip of it. I hope to talk to you in the coming days. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you, my sister, for having me.
All right, away from that, Nigeria's Trade Union Congress has called on the government to permit the temporary importation of essential food items into the country to help reduce the high cost of foodstuff in the market. President of the Congress made this known in Abuja during a State of the Nation press conference, saying the Congress will not take part in the proposed protest being organized by its sister union, the Nigeria Labour Congress. Our correspondent Idong Joseph reports.
The press conference is coming on the eve of the proposed protest by the Nigeria's Labour Congress. The 2 days nationwide protest is expected to express the displeasure of citizens over the escalating rise in foodstuff and the resultant economic hardship being witnessed. The Trade Union Congress, however, revealed that it will not be taking part.
We were not part of the process ab initio. We were not part of the agreement ab initio. So there is nothing to opt out from at all. Like as I have said repeatedly, that in trade union movement, you have a toolbox. that in that toolbox, you have different tools that you could use in calling government to order.
The president of the TUC blames the current hardship on the inability of the nation's monetary managers to manage the devaluation of Nigeria's naira. He urged government to adopt quick solutions to control inflation and immediately start the importation of foodstuff to contain the escalating rise in prices.
The national pride of striving to achieving food sufficiency locally and not importing from abroad should be temporarily relaxed. Government at all levels should immediately source and purchase sufficient quantity of food items from different parts of the world and distribute to the vulnerable Nigerians.
We have reviewed our commitment with organized labor, and I can tell you authoritatively that most of those agreements have been met. Number one, on the issue of payment of wage award of 35,000 naira, government has paid up to 4 months.
The Trade Union Congress is calling on government to speed up deliberations surrounding the minimum wage of workers. The Congress says that this will improve the purchasing power of citizens. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Many thanks, Idong. You're watching tonight on News Central. Coming up, Abia State makes history as independent geometric power plant is unveiled in Aba. We'll tell you more about this when we return. Do stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Tinubu to implement Oronsaye reports to scrap, merge agencies. TUC backs out of strike as NLC insists on nationwide industrial action. Court to rule on Nnamdi Kanu's bail application on March 19. Somaliland president accuses Somalia of murdering aviation expert. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has set up a tripartite committee, including key private sector players, some state governors and several cabinet members expected to tackle the nation's forex crisis and bring an end to the escalating inflation being witnessed in the country. Members of the committee, while speaking to newsmen after the meeting, expressed confidence that Nigeria's economic challenges will be addressed. Amadine Uyi tells us more.
Between September 2023 to February 2024, the US dollar gained approximately 193% to the Nigerian naira. This has caused an escalating inflation in the country, resulting to the increasing prices of basic commodities, notably foodstuff. In a bid to end this trend, President Bola Tinubu met with members of the organized private sector, including several governors, to rescue the situation.
We are looking for additional efforts that might help the downtrodden Nigerians, and we will provide that hope and the assurance that the economic recovery is on its way.
It's a tripartite meeting and designed to, put heads together and to think together.
We had a very, very good meeting, and what we discussed is generally about the economy, food security, security of the nation. We discussed everything in detail.
Players after the meeting say the issue of the rise in the dollar to the naira, which are affecting goods and services, was discussed.
We have discussed on how to, bring the foreign exchange, the rate down, because we all know that what is happening in, as regards the foreign exchange is artificial, it's manipulative. Everything in Nigeria is indexed to the foreign exchange, especially when it comes to, stuff that we import into the country.
Those in attendance have expressed optimism that with this meeting, Nigeria has repositioned itself to address its economic woes. They said the next phase now is the implementation of resolutions reached.
I leave that meeting with a lot of enthusiasm, excitement, and optimism about the future of our country. I believe that implementing the decisions we arrived at today will help propel our economy and help alleviate the poverty in the land.
It's now the execution. Once it's all got done, executed, and becomes a standing committee that will be meeting from time to time.
We are hopeful, and we're a great nation. We have what it takes to turn around the economy, and we are going to do that.
I can assure you that all hands are on deck. All governors have resolved to join hands with Mr. President to ensure that you provide the necessary intervention to cushion the effect of what we are going through.
With the work of the committee set out for it, Nigerians will be hoping that visible results will soon start to manifest. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
To further discuss this, I'm joined by the Chief Executive Officer, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Dr. Yusuf, good to have you on tonight. What are your initial thoughts on the establishment of President Tinubu's Economic Advisory Committee?
Well, I think the first is to commend the initiative of the president, and it's also a demonstration of his humility. His admission that yes, they are doing their best, but there is need, to do a lot more, which necessitated the need to constitute this committee. And the whole idea is to have an inclusive process of economic management, of economic policy formulation. If you look at the composition of the committee, you see that there's a very strong presence of the private sector. We have the state governments there, the federal government, and the key drivers of economic policies are also there. I'm talking of the coordinating minister of the economy and the central bank governor. So it's an inclusive process, and I think that is good for economic management. Because when you are managing the economy, you don't just look at one direction. You look at how economic policies are impacting other sectors of the economy. You look at the impact of policies on production, on development, on the welfare of the people, and so on, not just looking only at some macroeconomic aggregates. So it's a step in the right direction, and the president has said it severally, that he's not pretending that he has all the answers. So he needs all the support that he can get from other stakeholders of the economy. So I think what has happened with the constitution of this committee is a demonstration of that statement that he has made severally. And I think it's something that is commendable.
Do you believe the committee's composition adequately represents the diverse interests and sectors of the Nigerian economy?
No, it does, to a large extent. You can't put everybody on the committee, otherwise you have a committee that is unwieldy. We have the Manufacturers Association there. We have some key players in the manufacturing sector there. That is good. And we have some other, the representative of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group is there. Then, of course, we have the state governments who also have a very big role to play. And we have the CDM governor and the coordinating minister for the economy, alongside some other economic ministers. So I think it's representative enough. Other members of the private sector can always reach out to these other representatives, through their umbrella organizations. And whatever ideas they have, they can put it forward through these organizations. So for me, I think it's fair enough. It's a good beginning. As we progress, if there is any need to enlarge it, of course it can be enlarged. But it's a good start, and let's see how far it will go. But more importantly, is for us to see a situation where the president also gives a listening ear to this committee, because we have seen committees in the past set up by the administration to advise on the economy, and for several months, there was no interface even with the president. They were not able to communicate their input properly in a way that will influence the direction of policy. So I'm hoping that this time around, this committee will have direct access to the president to communicate his views, to put forward suggestions that will be immediate to address the immediate concerns of the citizens, especially around the cost of living, medium term and long term. So that is the kind of outcomes that I'm expecting from this committee.
All right, Doctor, thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We're hearing that Nigeria's federal government is currently in a meeting with the nation's organized labor to avert the planned two-day nationwide protest expected to begin tomorrow. The meeting, which began at about 5:30 p.m., is being coordinated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and has in attendance the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Minister of Budget and National Planning. Other attendees include the Minister of Agriculture and the Head of Service of the Federation. The meeting indicates government's resolve to compel the nation's organized labor to shelve their protests and has in attendance national executives of the Trade Union Congress and the Nigeria Labour Congress. We'll bring you more updates on this developing story as we get them. A bit of judiciary matters now. The ruling on the bail application of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has been set for March the 19th in Abuja. This was made known at the resumed hearing of the trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja, where counsel to the detained IPOB leader says Kanu is entitled to bail as enshrined in the nation's constitution. Marvelous Obomanu reports.
The embattled leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, once again appeared at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Kanu, who has been detained by Nigeria's government for the last 3 years, is being arraigned on a 15-count charge bordering on terrorism.
The Court of Appeal granted a ruling, a judgment, that Kanu committed no offense. A week later, they went and did their rule, they stayed the judgment. They went to the court of, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, even though they didn't want to speak the truth, said that what they did in bringing him to Nigeria was illegal.
The Federal High Court has to proceed with the trial, and we have to proceed with our defense, and we're ready.
While both counsel to the defense and the federal government argue on the eligibility of Kanu to be released on bail by the courts, the counsel to Kanu says several applications have been filed, awaiting the ruling of the trial judge before the trial will commence.
Well, we moved two applications, our application for bail, which the court took and stood down for a ruling, a written ruling on 19th March. Also, an application raising objections to the proceedings was taken, and that again will be ruled upon on the 19th March, and the trial will commence therefrom.
She had directed the prosecution to file their witness statement on oath from the witnesses they have and serve on us timeously so that we can prepare for our defense and cross-examination. So we're looking forward to a robust 19th of March.
He expressed optimism that his client will receive a fair hearing by the trial judge.
We're looking forward to a robust 19th of March, when they will present whatever witness they have, and then we can also challenge those witnesses with our questions to determine the veracity or otherwise of what they are going to say.
By the 19th of March, the court will be delivering judgment on the bail application filed by the defense counsel for Nnamdi Kanu. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomanu.
Thank you, Marvelous. Away from that, the federal government of Nigeria wants to adopt the integrated Aba project model if it succeeds in addressing the power challenges that confront the entire nation, as President Bola Tinubu commissions the first independent and private power plant in Aba, southeast Nigeria. News Center's Chinwe Ugele reports.
Signifies or it symbolizes the fact that the long-time power problem in Nigeria will be fully resolved in my time as the Minister of Power.
Nigeria as a nation is challenged by epileptic power supply, which threatens small and big businesses and creates a difficult economic condition for households. Business owners and industrialists in Aba, having spent fortunes to keep their businesses afloat while seeking alternative power supply, can only anticipate what is in store for them going forward.
Because this galvanizes all the business community. Industrialists, Aba is known for industries and commercials. Those who are doing shoes and other things in Aba will be able to have a sign of relief in the power sector.
The keke you see on the road in Aba, 70 to 8% of them are artisans. Because of power, they were managing these keke. So when this power comes up again, a lot of them will go back to their businesses.
The president, represented by his vice Kashim Shettima and Abia State Governor Alex Oti, assure of continuous support to the power company.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is mightily proud of the completion of this project, and he is equally mightily proud of Professor Bad Naj.
Certainly, the success of this power project will not just validate my unyielding belief in Aba, but will send a clear signal to local and international investors that Aba is open for business.
For 20 years, the chief executive officer of the Geometric Power Aba, Professor Bath Naji, tenaciously built the multi-million-dollar project.
We can guarantee that if we have reliable gas supply, we will provide absolute reliable electricity to Aba metropolis.
The company will generate energy supply to businesses and residences in 9 local government areas of Abia State and also send excess of power to the national grid. Independent power plant in Aba is a long time coming. And with steady power supply, Aba can actually become more industrialized than it currently is, and the people become happier for it. In Aba for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Away from Nigeria for a bit, the president of Somaliland has accused Somalia's government of being complicit in the death of an aviation expert from the self-declared republic. Abdel Nasser Dahabel, an employee of the Somali Civil Aviation Authority, was found dead on February 18. Forensic examinations confirmed signs of torture on the body, which was discovered in his home in the Somalian capital city, Mogadishu. Speaking at Dahabel's funeral after his body was transported to his birthplace, President Muse Bihi Abdi expressed an urgent need for transparency and justice. He accused Somalia's government of assassinating Dahabel and asked for clarity on the circumstances surrounding the death of the expert. Up next is Business News.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
On business, Nigerian Naira experienced a significant uptick on Monday, reaching a peak of 2,100 Naira per Great British Pound in the parallel market, commonly referred to as the black market. This surge marked a notable increase of 7.62%, with the currency strengthening by 160 Naira compared to the previous day's closing rate of 2,260 Naira surge, which aligns with Nigeria's heightened efforts to address the persistent depreciation of the Naira. In response to the currency's decline, Nigeria has implemented various measures aimed at stabilizing its value. These measures include intensifying enforcement actions against informal foreign currency and street traders, including targeting a well-known cryptocurrency trading platform. Ghana's cocoa output for the 2023-2024 season is expected to be almost 40% below a target of 820,000 metric tons, according to two sources from the country's sector regulator, Cocoa Board. Strong seasonal winds and a lack of rain are among the main factors behind the shortfall, along with a recent rise in smuggling, damage caused by illegal gold mining, and the swollen shoot disease. The regulator adds that the cause of the decline is not one that could be remedied immediately through human intervention, with output for the season now seen at around 500,000 tons. Zambia's dollar debt jumped after its government said over the weekend that China and India, the last two nations needed to sign a deal to restructure Zambia's debt, have done so, and the price of the nation's $1.25 billion of notes due 2027 climbed by the most in a day since October. They were trading at 68.58 on the dollar as of 9:44 a.m. in London, the highest level since June 2022. It reached a memorandum of understanding with official creditors to restructure $6.3 billion of debt in October. The government is in talks with other creditors, including the holders of $3 billion in outstanding Eurobonds. The discussions have been deadlocked since November, when the official creditors committee, co-chaired by France and China, rejected a deal in principle the administration reached with those investors. And that's all on Business Stories. Thank you so much for watching. Do stay with us. There's still more to come. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Onyinyechi Obaro is standing by with the latest in the world of sports.
Update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Thank you, Felicity. In the world of sport, Nigerian athlete Simidele Adeagbo has made history as the first African athlete to compete in bobsleigh at the BMW IBSF World Championships holding in Württemberg, Germany. Simidele became the first African woman to compete in the bobsleigh at the World Championship in the 100-year history of the IBSF. The Nigerian-Canadian skeleton raiser competed in the 2018 Winter Olympics, where she finished 20th and became Nigerian Africa's first female skeleton athlete. She also made history as the first black female Olympian in the sport. Still in the world of sport, the Super Falcons of Nigeria have advanced to the final qualifying round of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, the women's football event, after a 1-0 victory over Cameroon in Abuja. The nine-time African champions progressed 1-0 on aggregate as the first leg of the tie in Douala on Friday ended goalless. Esther Nkoronkwo scored the only goal today to send Randy Waldrum's side through past their bitter rivals. DUD Tenerife striker struck in the 14th minute, firing home from Jennifer Echejini's pass. The Super Falcons will face either African champion South Africa or Tanzania in the final qualifying round, with the winners over two legs securing one of the continent's 2 Olympic Games tickets for the competition. The Federation of International Football Association President Gianni Infantino has stressed the importance of FIFA's partnership with the World Trade Organization in delivering on actions that provide real impact in improving lives and livelihoods in West Africa, and also committed to using products of the cotton for sports countries in FIFA programs. Infantino was in Abu Dhabi in the UAE to speak at a special event which was staged around the 13th WTO Ministerial Conference and chaired by the WTO Director General, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
We have seen what football is. We know what football is. It's joy, it's emotion, it's passion, it's magic. And we develop football all over the world, but we know that we also have a social responsibility role that we want to take seriously. And we found in the WTO a great partner for this marriage to do something real, something concrete, something impactful, something that will have an influence on the life of many people.
And away from that, the Philippine Football Federation, PFF, has announced the appointment of Tom Saintfiet as the new head coach of the men's football team. This strategic decision comes as the team gears up for the crucial match against Iraq on March 2024, I beg your pardon, marking a pivotal moment in the second round of the Asian qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Saintfiet, with a rich record of international coaching experience, steps into the role with the ambitious goal of transforming the team into a formidable force in the Asian football stage. Finally, in the world of sport, Everton has had their 10-point deduction for breaching Premier League profitability and sustainability rules reduced to 6 points. The club were referred to an independent commission in March for alleged breaches relating to the 2021-2022 season and initially deducted 10 points in November. The club called the decision the biggest in the competition's history and the first relating to financial fair play regulations wholly unjust, and appealed against it 2 weeks later. That appeal has now been partially successful, with 4 of the 10 points restored. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaru. Back to you, Felicity.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next on Tonight is entertainment with Jadel Simon.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Big news today as Universal Music Group acquires a majority stake in Marvin Music. The deal, pending regulatory approval, follows speculations of Marvin's potential sale. Don Jazzy, Marvin's founder, expressed openness to the deal, emphasizing his desire to remain in charge. In a statement, both parties have expressed excitement for the partnership. The acquisition's value remains undisclosed. With this move, Marvin joins UMG's elite roster. Fans are staying optimistic and wishing them a great business partnership together. Now, moving on away from that, in Beverly Hills, Oppenheimer continues its winning streak, scooping the top prize at the Producers Guild of America Awards. Director Christopher Nolan's portrayal of J. Robert Oppenheimer triumphed, boosting its chances for an Oscar win. Succession and The Bear claimed top TV prizes, while Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse won for animation. Martin Scorsese received a career honor, and producers Charles D. King and Gail Berman were also recognized. The PGA announced a new healthcare initiative for its members, aiming to provide coverage for their producers. That's all we can take on entertainment tonight. We'll take a short break, and when we're back, we'll bring you what's trending tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, away from entertainment stories, let's tell you what is trending. Currently causing a stir across social media platforms, especially on X, is Lagos. The daily rise in cost of living is causing unrest across the country. Nigerians are suffocating on the alarming rates of food items. Protests have been ongoing in different parts of the country, and today, the people of Lagos took their frustrations to the streets to call out Tinubu's government. X users are urging the East to join the protest. Before we wrap up on this story, let us read some reactions on X. Shehu is saying, I'll repeat it again, that the protests against Tinubu's government in Lagos and Edo states today are not hunger protests. They are organized by politicians to control opposition. Hungry people will not protest carrying placards and wearing ashrebi. Hungry people will protest with anger. Okay? Peter Albi says, just yesterday, I read the saddening reports of how the search for cheap rice claims the lives of some Nigerians in Lagos. According to the reports, a massive crowd of hungry Nigerians had besieged the zonal office of the Nigerian Customs Service in Yaba, Lagos. That's sad. Shehu is saying, the man they claimed developed Lagos said he doesn't have all the answers to the poor economy. Did he even have any answer? Nigeria have no president. Away from that, next on what's trending is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In a recent trending picture of the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, many ex-users are speculating that he looks sick. His supporters expressed their concerns as to why the activist Sunday Igboho has been released and Showere's prosecution stopped. Yet the president continues to deny Nnamdi Kanu freedom. Before we call it a wrap on what's trending tonight, let's read some more reactions on X. John is saying this is now an emergency request for Nnamdi Kanu must be released with immediate effect. Nnamdi Kanu's incarceration is an aberration, a shame to Nigeria and especially Britain, which claims to be the beacon of democracy and freedom of speech. Another tweet is saying, I'm certain it is not just my eyes playing tricks on my brain. This picture sure looks terrifyingly scary. Nnamdi Kanu is obviously looking unhealthy, but Binta Nyakor is mostly concerned about apparels and not the deteriorating health of an innocent man. I just hope against hope. I guess, okay, we have one more tweet here from Chidera. The hearing is concluded and ruling for bail application for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, and trial slated for the 19th and 20th of March 2024. That's all for tonight on What's Trending. I'm Jadel Simon.
Many thanks, Jadel. All right, before we wrap things up, let's quickly go to Onyi. Talk to us about your reaction about this sponsored protest. Do you believe that there are Nigerians who are just protesting because they want to tarnish the government's image, or it's really a reality?
I think it's a reality. It's telling on everyone, it has dawned on us that we have to take this powers into our hands as far having to voice out our feelings with the economic situation in the country. Nobody wants to be in a country where they suffer. You know, the rich gets richer, the poor getting poorer. So the only thing is to voice out the protest. Let's see if reactions will come up from that protest. Felicity.
All right, Tony. Jadel, thank you very much as always for bringing up what's trending on tonight. Thank you, guys. All right, a quick break before we wrap things up.